Traders, what's going on? It's been a while. I feel like it's been forever since I talked with you guys. Um, Roxy says, first webinar with you. That's awesome, Roxy. Welcome. So it's been a weird month for me. Um, so it's been a good month trading, actually, but like thematically, analysis wise, I kind of like lost. I don't really know what's going on. It's weird. So I've just kind of tried to forget about understanding what I can't understand and literally just kind of trade, levels, and some setups happen. They great, and whatever. Took today some uh, hits on the CAD trade and the Aussie trade, but uh, you know, it's been trading pound pretty well. And, in this environment where it's like the dollar, I got what's going on with the dollar, like, right? Like it's every week I come on here for almost 2 months and I'm just like, what is happening? We've been essentially at the same spot for almost 2 months, right? Um, and that's been resistance, right? In DXY. So, my base kind of case there has been, well, might as well look on the downside in the dollar, right? But that hasn't really worked out. I guess if you were looking on the upside in the dollar, that kind of hasn't worked out either, right? It's gone no. I guess if you were looking for nothing to happen, that's happened. So I'm not going to have a whole lot of. I don't think I have a ton of insight to give you at this moment. That's one reason why I didn't want to do the webinar yesterday. I was hoping we'd get some clarity or something, and we just don't have it. So do the best we can here. I've got some things that I'm kind of following for, clues, if you will, on uh, on the broader macro landscape. But other than that, dollar, we're still here, right? I did tweet out this morning. We just got that thing that happened. Happens kind of at turns. It's happened the last couple of little turns in the dollar and in the euro. But we got this is a weekly chart, but we go to this daily chart of DXY, right? We did get a new high, right? You got the new high in the dollar in the index. Whereas, of course, the euro has not done that. And that little non-confirmation has happened at turns before. So, kind of looking for that maybe to happen again. Excuse me. You've got the big support I was looking for. I tweeted out this morning, but is 1560, 15 mid 1560, 15 here. Uh, Can you guys working? Can you generally pour on? Hold on. Better, sir? Test, test. Can you guys hear? Yes. All right. Well, I'm not sure what to do here, guys. It's people are telling me that it's breaking up. Hold on. Trying to close everything, I guess, except for, I'm really not sure what else to do here. Things here. Let me know. Okay. I mean, I'm going to go ahead and what to do here. This is okay. If this is working, great. I apologize, but I'm going to go. Mark says it's getting better. Okay. Oh, a little better, cutting out still. All right. I'm not sure what the case is. I've the same thing I always. So a disaster over here and I guess I'm sorry about that. So we're on the euro. Okay. Is it still bad? Test, test. It's okay. It's better. Okay. and I'm gonna run with it. Okay. All right. Saying it's better and it's okay, and then that. So I'm not sure what I can do about that other than kind of keep talking. All right. So euro, I'm looking for around this 1560 area. Please call it right. That is essentially square root. Remember, if we bring in here, what we've been looking at for long, this is where you have two equal legs down from the high on 7-9. Okay. All right. Okay. Guys, I don't know what to do. Some people are saying they can't hear me. So okay, so test. Look, some people are and some people can say here. Test. All right, guys. I'm just gonna have to ignore all the people that say they can't hear because some people say they can hear. All right, so on euro down here at, like I said, 1567 is where you legs down from the July high. It's also 64. Okay, that spot. Even if the euro's in some big bearish thing, you'd have A, B, C, D, rally and E, and then break down. As I wrote the other, that's obviously a possibility, but get that you're trying, right? Like remember back here, we thought we had a bullish triangle, we had A, B, C, D, and we thought E turned into like a euro crash. So I don't want to necessarily assume because if we find support here and then rally, that all of a sudden the euro is then going to mirac and head south. I'm open to the fact to the upside on it, and just keeping an open mind. I mean, that's kind of the most important thing. An open mind. Don't assume that you know what's going to happen. At the same time, just understand that for now, this is range. So look, I'm looking for support, like I said, 1565 or so. And then for a rally, probably back, up into, the low 117s or something. And then we'll take, all right. In terms of the British pound, kind of the exit story, I guess, but it's still riding on this raw. Obviously, you're not going to have any sort of trend line support down here because the only trend line you could have has been right. Level is going to be looked at as potential point. It's actually pretty close to, or sorry, resistance, not support. Potential resistance at some point. You are coming into the 618. Okay, 618 is 28.99. So you can 9 if you wish. and that level is going to be, you got a high there actually for April of last year, and that's going to be in line with the parallel, right? Not until kind of like later this month, but look, if this is cable, if it's into it, that's low. I don't know, but it's certainly a spot to look for one or to be aware of for a low. So 129 British pound is where I would, kind of fancy maybe finding some sort of a support. And at the end of the day, it's trading between these levels, right? Which are defined by this fork from January. The only thing I got to say on British pound on 129, okay? Other dollar pairs that I'm watching, again, heightened interest here through term resistance, okay? I guess you could draw off of the exact highs. Hold on here, try to do this. All right, so that would be a lot higher. That would be like up near 116. So the only thing we have here in terms of resistance, what we call uptrend resistance, okay? And that's just the fork, right? So we are up on this fork. We have topped up here before. So this was May 21st. And we've been brushing up against this upper parallel days now and not really you got today, you had kind of like a little doji or spinning top or whatever you want to call it, and we're kind of in the process of doing the same thing today, right? All the various markets is obviously crazy and out of whack in terms of having, gold being demolished, dollar yen going higher. I'd expect that, but the days when gold's been down really big, like it is today, we haven't necessarily seen dollar yen go through the roof either. So the trend's there, but in terms of it being, a strong day-to-day correlation, that hasn't really been the case. Any dollar yen here, I am looking for, I'm looking for a top up here. I'm looking for a short opportunity. Highs up here, 1338. That's from January. This is actually the year-to-date high. Okay. So that is the year-to-date high at 1338. So we're really close to it. And if we zoom in here a little bit, from what 25 or so, you got a 1, probably a 2. Okay, getting a little, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So definitely 5 from here. So for at least a pullback, I still think that is going to be on that magenta parallel because that's where old resistance was. So do we have a clean short opportunity right here? Not quite any divergence on it. We don't, but we could get it relatively soon if you squeak out just another closing high. Either way, I'll be short opportunity with dollar yen relatively soon. You do have, okay, here's, no volume levels or anything there, but CPI tonight in Japan, whatever, just a heads up. Just who cares about the news? Doesn't really matter, does it? I mean, you had Aussie print CPI last night ripped face and then crashed because, China or something. But bottom line, keep it simple. Dollar yen's at resistance. It's at resistance because it's not going higher through resistance. Therefore, as long as that's the case, I'm looking for dollar yen to turn down. All right. Okay. Keep it there on. Look at Aussie, Kiwi, and CAD. Look at Aussie, Kiwi, Aussie. Okay. Thought that we had. I guess I was wrong on that. We are actually back on the 61.8 slash low for May. Okay, 618 of the entire rally from 2016. So, I sometimes it's best not to have an opinion, right? You don't have to have an opinion. That's okay. But if we can, for me, the dividing line between long and short here is this center line, this black line, that median line. Pointed that out last night. That's where the entry was on, and it lasted for 2 seconds, I guess. But I was stopped out when I woke up. But level has been supported before, so look, that's where I'm looking. If you trade back, I guess you could look at it as resistance now. Pretty close daily low of 73.76. That's the low from, I suppose that's on, that's on Tuesday. My high, I have to go with my kid to the beach. That sounds awesome, actually. So yeah, I will we're definitely look at the S&P. I want to talk about the S&P because I want to talk about that wedge setup. So I'll get there. So anyway, folks, on this chart, on Aussie dollar, again, I'm not sure what's going on. I thought we had kind of turned a corner yesterday's action, and that's clearly not the case. So the levels to pay attention to at this point, my opinion, are going to be 73, 75 or so, median line. And then on the downside, if you do break lower, I will definitely look at crude, Roxy. If you do lower in Aussie, then I'd be looking at probably about 250. That is just the level, okay? And it's based on the trend line from February, March, April, and June, obviously extremely well defined in terms of that trend line. And that would be down near, if you extend it off lows, right? So it's the same angle. In fact, you got a bunch of lows on there. You got lows back here in May, you got lows soon in July, early July, July 1st, in fact, here, okay? So, for the meantime, I guess just kind of going with the momentum of the situation, you kind of have to respect more downside. Not my base case, but the market doesn't care about my base case. So got to respect more downside. And if we do get it, it's probably 72.50 or so is where you would look for the next potential spot turn, what have you. All right. Okay, Kiwi. Wow, just a disaster on this thing too. So Kiwi, so like all the anecdotal evidence too, positioning is saying that like, these commodity currencies and whatnot are just crazy sold out, but it just doesn't seem to matter, right? It just doesn't seem to matter. They can't get off they now got 5 waves down again. None of this matters until you can establish over some sort of a price level, and that again, that just has not been the case. So 67.90 to go positive, right? It just is. You're really fighting an uphill battle, it seems. So until then, 65.18, which is a long-term parallel, That is also 786. That's going to be a level to look at. I'll take a look at term charts tonight and see if we can find some resistance within the range or something, but 67, 64 is a level that sticks. That's just simply a square root level, and square root levels tend to work out pretty well. So that's what I'd be looking at in terms of potential for some sort of resistance in Kiwi if you do get some sort of a bounce within the range. Dollar CAD, again, thought we had a beautiful setup last night after you had the reversal from the center line, which we've seen a number of times over the last couple. But again, it just is not to be, as all the, apparent China worries or something carry on, despite the fact that crude is actually pretty firm. So when it comes to dollar CAD, again, is there a setup here for me? No. Can I try going? Not really. But like others have good kind of dividing lines for where to some sort of a bullish or bearish, outlook, if you will. And that to me is actually the center line right here, right? So the center line to me is a bullish bearish line. So if you're above it, it's probably bullish. If you're below it, I'd be looking lower, right? Support on that line now, probably about 32.30 or so. Okay, let's go to some commodities. And I want to show you some charts that I'm watching kind of intently in other places. Like, everything is about China supposedly right now, so you should probably be paying attention to that. All right, hold on. S&P, of course. All right, so let's go to first. We're going to go to crude. So we've hit pretty good levels on crude. This is an hourly chart. Okay, we've hit some great levels on crude. You can see, go to 4-hour chart here. So the 4-hour chart, I mean, we've hit resistance and support. This has been great. Insofar as where the next level is, it's the median line. So from here, I think we're probably range bound for a while. We've had a big run in crude oil, so I don't think that it's just going to go from here and straight up. But like, I would be looking at, say, 71 as resistance for a pullback, and I would kind of respect the potential for just some range action for a while. And something like this, right? Like this, something like this, right? So some back and forth for a little bit in the crude market, and then it can kind of prepare itself, base itself for another leg higher with bull trend. Okay, that's where my head's at in terms of crude. So Roxy, I hope that helps. So yeah, kind of look up here towards the 7 area, and then I'd be looking for a turn down, and I'm just looking for the market to trade back at levels for a little bit. Okay. All right. What about some indices? Okay. So we'll go to the daily. Two things. NASDAQ. Roxy asked, do I expect a 5-wave down? I can't answer that. I don't like to think like that, because you're simply at that point, you're just kind of man. So just pay attention to the levels, right? Pay attention to the levels, trade the levels. When you see a 5-wave move, great, and then expect, if you see corrective, continue to be corrective activity, but don't try to predict too far in the future. Okay, just have the levels laid out, and that'll put you in the right mentality to take a position at that level at the right point. Okay. All right, so things with the NASDAQ. Uh, the first level that we thought might be resistance, and that is simply based on the trend line from February to April. And you can see that channel line, right? And just off the high, we've hit that. We've responded to resistance. Question is, are we going to get one more blowout in 75.50s? I thought if it was going to happen, it was going to happen by now. So I bias my case here. I'm looking lower. I'm looking lower in the NASDAQ. We are under the highs from yesterday. Okay. If I go to an intraday chart, so let me put it this way. I say I'm looking lower, but that does not mean that I'm short. There's a difference, right? So you guys know how I do this. I'm looking for a trade. A setup is a specific way. So what would a setup for me look like? A setup could be a couple things. Could be first you break down here, right? Get into that should be support, by the way, around 7,300, and then maybe get yourself a bounce and then short the bounce, right? So that's what I'd be looking for a short, right? First, you need to have some evidence that you've actually broken something, otherwise it's a complete guess. And second, you want to be able to get in on the first reaction, if you will, right? So it's, I'm looking lower, but I'm not short. There's not a short setup here just yet. The one that's really that I talked about during the or that I tweeted earlier, actually the S&P. So let me get rid of this crap here. All right. So here's the S&P. And again, this is our real long-term stuff in that we've hit some really big resistance. Same resistance that was hit back here in mid-June and mid-July. Okay, so we have, for some reason, we've had tops in the middle of the month. So here was like, that was 313, that was 718, blah, 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 right? So if I zoom in on this one, you can see here wedge, right? So you've got a very clear wedge here, and simply the setup on this is you break down below, basically below today's low, and it's a short to me, okay, for the S&P. You'd have a clean break at that point, a clean wedge, and you would be looking initially probably somewhere around 2770, right? It's the center line of the channel back to the lows. I'm pretty focused on this as a possibility. Again, more high. I'm not sure. If we do eke out another high, then you have your kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, and that puts you into 28.23, which is actually legs up from the February low. Okay, so 28 hit basically tomorrow. That would be right here, right? And at that point, you'd be looking to turn over. So it's either 28.23 and look for a turn lower, or if you break below the wedge here, then just kind of ride the short side until you get down to 27.7 and see what happens from there. So that is my, as far as the S&P is concerned. Yeah, it's quite amazing, actually, the market, the U.S. market. It's, I mean, nails. right? It's like free money, I guess. No risk. Market's down during the U.S. session, people just buy it. Another thing to watch in other markets or markets. So financials are important and reporting right now. Pay attention to 2820 or so. You're actually at the 200-day average right now in XLF. Side of the trend 16, which was support a couple times earlier this year, right? That would be up around 2820. 2820 is just kind of a good horizontal level. So, that's a level to watch for in the kind of the general market. The health of the general market's concerned, I'd be looking at that 2820 spot for some resistance in XLF, okay? Also, if we want to go take a look at, what was I gonna do? Oh yeah. Oh no. Here we go. Again, everything is about this China stuff, right? And to the blue line here. If all the reasons that are being given for the woes in the dollar rally and everything else going on, maybe China out of its way here. I've come down for on China on FXI, large cap China ETF is about 40.70. That is going to be the 200-week average as well, which hit in a while. And you've got simply a pretty good high up here. That is the high from October of 2015. It's 40.59. So that general good, I think, for some sort of a, let's see if we base down there or find support down there. And then of course it's also the parallel off all these lows. You've got the 2011 low, you've got the 2013 low, the 2014 low, let's make it the 2018 low as well, right? Let's try to do that. So that's where I'm looking in terms of China on FXI, looking for support there, okay? And then, of course, that goes hand in hand with dollar CNH, which has gone through just about everything. Yeah, it's gone through just about everything. Let's see if this old channel up here does anything. That's actually kind of interesting, right? So be a pipe dream. I've got watch the 786. We're really close to the 786 retracement on dollar CNH, right? 786 is going to be right here. So that's going to be 682.59. You've also got the July high right here at 681.18. So this is July 2017, obviously. So 1 year ago. So we're close to some really big spots. And I'd be looking for resistance in this kind of this zone here. All right. So, it kind of makes sense. I fit it together if you want to do that. If you kind of look at the dollar CNH exchange rate coming into these areas right here, along with FXI, maybe a little lower for a really big low, and then you get a big turn together, right? You get a big turn, and that should unleash kind of a change in market behavior in terms of what's going on in, in the dollar. well, especially the dollar, and especially, you know, Aussie dollar, right? Okay. What about some non-dollar? I'm liking this pound yen chart. Levels have been pretty clean, right? We hit a good short off of this. Unfortunately, did not get a chance to reshort back up into, we were looking at basically 147.80 or so to reshort. As it is now, I've actually got us into support. So this is support from a couple of things. You do have a parallel. You've got the 200 period average on the 4-hour chart, which is just a beauty. And it looks like you got 5 waves down. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'd be looking for a bounce here. If we start to get underway, might actually have an opportunity to go long for a bit of a bounce. And you're like, well, if you want to go short dollar yen and short, that doesn't make any sense. I know it doesn't, and that's okay. Right, we are looking, I've really become a believer in this, especially in the current market environment, to just like not care, not try to fit everything into like one little box, right? It just doesn't work that way. We need to look at everything on its own merits, absolutely. And, you know, the chart's the chart, and you're trading the chart, okay? Okay. All right, so I don't have anything else to add. Hasn't been that long. We had some serious technical difficulties, but I actually would like to kind of make these webinars a little short. What happens is you just kind of start rambling and talking about things, and you know, talking for the sake of talking is never a great idea. So here, I just got an alert here. Rio Tinto is hitting a level. Okay. Yeah, I'd love to take questions. For any questions, I will absolutely go over whatever it is that you would like to look at. Getting the most high says, I wish you would do a webinar on getting the most. You mean to use it? I think everyone probably uses it differently, but I think that is a pretty, I think that is a good, I do think that's a good idea. Okay, hold on. Let's look at, we had a question on Swiss yen. Well, first thing I do is I pick it up and I notice that we are at resistance. So as I would be, just this alone says it looks right, kind of that simple. You are on, you're on, just look over to the left. The area, this is former support, and now you're on resistance. Okay. Can see if we can draw ourselves a little, looks like a web, doesn't it? Yes, it is a head and shoulders, top head and shoulders. It is head and shoulders, but head and shoulders can and do fail. So for me, this is a short, as long as you're below the high from 2 days ago, and look here to 12, 25. And then you kind of make a decision as to whether or not you're going to higher off the retest, right? So you're right. It is a completed head and shoulders bottom. It is also, however, a market that has simply rallied into resistance from a moving average, an upward sloping line and a horizontal level over here. So a lot going on there. Oh, this is a good question from Roxy. How far do you see gold going to the downside? Well, I guess we should get creative at this point, because at this point, I'm not going to have any until, look, I said if we broke this, then I've got nothing until basically 1100. I mean, what I think is, I think that doesn't happen. Of course, it doesn't matter what I think okay? It matters what is happening. So I've got an alert set on this chart. You know, if you know how to set alerts on TradingView, it's actually pretty useful. So, you know, you just draw your horizontal line, double click on it, go to alert. You can hit alert, you know, once per bar and save it, right? So I've got an alert set so that if we do come back above the old low, which was the December low, then one, I'm what is now, or what now should be, some sort of resistance, and two, I know that the possibility would be if you got back up there, you'd have what could be construed as a false breakdown, right? So I see no position in gold other than short at this point, or you can have no position. I mean, it's just like, how can you make a bullish argument? You just can't. I mean, there's nothing to be made here. You know, we were looking to be bullish and we held it, and then we didn't hold it. And, you know, it's falling apart. You know, so you can say sentiments this, sentiments that, and it certainly is. And you know, it's the kind of thing that you tend to see when you make a low, but from a simple chart perspective, I just don't see how you can try to be long at this level. You know, are there levels at which we could have maybe a reaction? That's a pretty clean spot, right? So over here, that was kind of resistance over here. Even that though is 1180, so that's still lower. I'll leave it there with that. We should put copper. So copper is in free fall and has been, right? So much like China, you know, these levels have been really good for a while, but we're kind of testing of it. I mean, see where we get a 8. Ooh. Okay, so the average is actually 50% of the move. That's going to be 260, 290. Okay, so that's a spot that I would pay attention to. Ty says all the charts are fire, huge smoke. Well, yes, I mean copper has certainly fallen off a cliff. I guess all the markets except for the U.S. stock market, which doesn't care about anything. But yeah, the levels I'd be looking at for some sort of a turn in copper at this point is probably 260, 290. So, you know, if you get down there, I'd be looking to buy it. Okay. Anything else? Oh, Euro yen. You know you love Euro yen. All right, let's take a look at Euro yen then. I think I actually had a pretty. I had posted something on it last week, right? When I was doing pound yen as well. Okay. Yeah. So here we go. This is the chart we had up. So this is a chart from last week. We were looking for a high up there. I guess we got one. And we've rolled over, you know, not surprisingly, right? Euro yen and Swiss yen are both at resistance, or both come into resistance. in terms of this, you've got a pretty good spot here that you're up against. I really wouldn't want to be buying it down here. I do think so, Kelly. There's two levels: 130, basically 130, 35. Okay, that old high right there. Obviously, a level that you're probably going to expect to see something happen as far as a bounce. The real level, if you can get down there, would be a hell of a drop. But if you can get down to 129 range, then it would be also top side of this trend line. That seems like kind of it does seem kind of like a lot, doesn't it, to get down there? But it's possible, I guess. Let's see here. Let's go to a 240-minute chart. Yeah, so two spots to look at, okay? Like I said, Kelly, so 130.35, very obvious in terms of getting some support there. And if you really did if we got for some reason you're hard, then that would be your level. But when I look at this chart, it is probably 130, the 130.30 area or whatever is probably actually level, getting out of the short and buying it. You do have this little head and shoulders here, which would measure all the way down here, 29.70 and 30, 130.19. So bottom line is good job on taking the short at resistance and support down here. All right. Okay, guys. All right. Well, I'm going to wrap it up then. I'll get this archived for you. Apologies for the whatever tech we had. I'm not sure what's going on there. I need to find a guy from Best Buy to come over or something and figure it out. But I will get this, like I said, archived. And thanks for your time as always. And good luck. All right. Take care. Bye.